Alrighty, so welcome back to the Let's Talk About It podcast. If you joined us for our first episode and you're here again, thank you. Hopefully, the 10 people who watch this, we get at least 8 back. As a reintroduction, my name is Aaron Letts. Both of my degrees are in music. My whole background is music. I'm currently not in the music space, but kind of traversing through trying to get back into it. The whole purpose of this podcast series is to not just be another annoying 20 something year old with podcasts, but it's to have real conversations with some really good friends of mine for both undergrad and grad school about the different things you encounter those first couple of years that we don't really talk about too much after graduating. And so those kind of get glazed over. And I felt like I've had enough ranting conversations with friends about it. So figured why not just make a podcast. So today I have yet another undergrad friend here. Chase is a longtime friend of mine, but I'll go ahead and turn it over, let him introduce himself.
All right. Just like Aaron said here, my name's Chase. I am currently a band director down in Picayune, Mississippi, a small 6A program called Pearl River Central in Carrier, Mississippi. Um, Population less than probably 5,000. I'm just taking numbers there. I don't actually have those. But it's a great little place. It's kind of like Hattiesburg, where it was a hub city. Um, Picayune is very much like that. It's an hour from Biloxi, an hour
Mhm.
from New Orleans, an hour from Hattiesburg. So if I ever wanted to get a day out of Picayune, I just travel an hour and I'm there.
Okay, nice. That was our. Wait, hold on. You're at Picayune. Wasn't that like our high school band directors? Wasn't that her brothers?
Yeah, and he's currently
Wow. Okay. Period.
we have a very strong rivalry. They don't call us Pearl River Central, they call us that school up the road. Um,
Love that.
the rivalry is there for real. We keep it friendly, though. It's not like the old our high school rivalries that we used to go to.
Okay, that.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It's more of a safe rivalry.
That's safe. That sounds about you. Yeah.
I'm currently teaching middle school band. I am the director of middle school bands at my school, and I work with one of my head director who overruns the whole program as director of bands, and we just made a new hire, third director for the first time in history, I believe. Um, just got a graduate of William Carey, and he's overall percussion, and we have enjoyed him so far. Very much a good addition to the team.
Okay, nice. All right. And how did we meet?
If I remember correctly, seventh grade, I joined bands, so like more than 10 years ago.
Yep.
And 10 years ago, I joined band, and there's this guy that came up to me and was like, "Man, you're a cocky saxophonist, if I think I'm correct." Like, no, that couldn't have been me. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much, we've known each other since seventh grade, which would have been your eighth grade year. You're a year ahead of me, so
Yeah.
we're now we're just adulting.
And trying to figure it out. I actually remember we met a little bit before that, because I think we were in the same apartment complex or rode the same bus in like, and I think that was when I was in the year prior to that, I was in seventh and you were in sixth.
Mhm.
And because I remember having a little conversation with you, and I think your sister was on the bus too, because they did the middle school and the lower elementary. And I had brought my saxophone one time, and you're like, "Do you play saxophone?" And then you asked me like one or two questions, and you kind of annoyed me ever since. So like, and you wanted to be me so bad from there, and then you went to the same high school and the same undergrad as me. So, you know,
Same
I'm just
studio too.
same studio, yeah. I'm just that much of an influence, but it's fine. Um, but thank you so much again for joining me for this. like I said, we have a lot of common history, but your story, I think, is really interesting because for the longest time, you weren't going to go into the education setting like this, not K through 12. You were going more of the performance route. So I kind of wanted to talk about that transition and the catalyst and stuff like that. And then also like the auditioning process. Because, I had to do like an interview and had to submit a portfolio, but I didn't really have to audition the way you did for grad school. So, talking about that. So, yeah, feel free
Um,
to start wherever.
yeah, so I did music education as my undergrad. I didn't feel like I wanted to do a performance degree. It's really that I just didn't want to stay there for an extra year. Um, we know those double degrees means more time and everything, but I had a natural joy for performance. I just loved it and pretty much just found a way to do both without having to do both. Towards the end of my junior year, that's when I was like, all right, I think I'm going to go for grad school. And that launched a whole like pages and pages of information that I never knew about. And once I got to the end of my senior year, the end of my first semester of senior year, that's when I started traveling to audition. And a lot of the audition process itself is pretty much like an undergrad process where you go and you play your instrument, but the added depth of it was you have to know what you're doing. When undergrad happens, it's just like, oh, I like playing my instrument. Let me go play my instrument. And you do that, you figure out more as you go along. And this one's more about networking, preparing stuff, showing the best musician that you could be. Um, Now, that was financially challenging. I think I spent about $3,000 or $4,000 doing auditions, traveling, booking Airbnbs, traveling, not even during audition season. There was a few schools that I was like, hey, can I just come out and check out this campus and everything? So that was an additional trip on top of the trip that I was going to make whenever I auditioned.
Mm.
Um, Made lots of things. And then I made a blog post that I took down, I think about a month ago, just because it quit gaining traction and I'm past the whole wanting to do performance. Um, but it was just like, here's things that I want you to know when you're auditioning. And it just listed 10 things. I forget all the points, but the biggest ones that stuck out to me were um, you don't want to ask everyone for their opinions. It's such a like going for it. I think I auditioned for 5 schools. A lot of them were the top end music schools at the time and still are. And some professor would be like, don't go there. You don't want to do that. Other professor would be like, yo, that's the great school. Go to that. And after a while of asking 10, 15 people, you're like, everyone has an opinion about everybody and everything. So keep your circle small there because it's just going to be you're going to have this words take two internal turmoil about the choices you're making. For me, my biggest things were I wanted to stay close enough to home, so that eliminated far schools like in Oregon, Montana. I'm just naming states, but those far distant schools would have been like, not for me because I want to stay home, closer to home. Another biggest thing, and everyone's biggest thing, financials. Money makes the world go round, whether we like that or not in this capitalistic society. Um, so you're never going to go to grad school for free. Even if you get what is it called, stipend, an assistantship, you're still paying for something. And that was a big thing on my mind. And unfortunately, I just never got the offers of those stipends and assistantships, which means I would just be paying more and more. Um, and then I guess the third biggest point that I had that I learned through all that is given the wrong context of everything, music can be incredibly toxic in this profession. And
Yeah.
yeah, but at the end of the day, and this is a very controversial statement, but we just play a piece of metal or wood or whatever. And at the end of the day, what we make of it is what we make of it. So that part got to me the most, and that's the reason why I quit pursuing the graduate levels of music and everything. I love music. I love teaching it. I love bringing that joy to kids. But at the end of the day, there's that level where it's just like,
It's
yeah,
just band.
it's just band. And we'll probably get into that more with like personal life stuff and all that, but it's just band.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I ended up taking a
Mhm.
gap year during that time afterwards. I got accepted into several spots at several different universities, but I decided to stay at home and just take a year off to myself, figure out what I wanted to do. And in that time, I labeled myself as a freelance music educator. Um, it makes the resume looks really good.
Period.
And so
Okay.
what I did was just travel around to different schools, work with them. Some areas would be woodwind, some areas would be marching bands, some would be teaching their drum majors how to conduct. And then at the end of that year, I took an interview at my current school and was offered the middle school job.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So that's a good catch up because I knew you were still in Mississippi and I knew you were in the southern area, but I wasn't sure if you were on the coast per se, or if you were a little bit further north. So okay, cool. That's nice to know. But yeah, you said a couple words there that are like spot on that I think reflecting back on undergraduate experiences, I think that like especially professors, they don't want to be pessimistic, but so they don't necessarily say that. But I think the older you are and the more mature of a student you are, I definitely remember having those conversations about it's just band. I remember that. What was her name? Dr. Cosby. She definitely said that in our one of our methods classes. And I think it was because of COVID and the fact that we were about to go out into a job market that looked real scary then, and still does look very scary now. And so I think she like wanted us to like avoid burnout very early on.
Mhm.
But last episode, I went talking to my friend Val. We also kind of talked about how that first couple of years of burnout is, or that first couple of years of, or that very first year at least, is like you're going to be staying over a lot and things like that. And you post sometimes about like how many hours you have on. If you want me to cut that, let me know. But sometimes you'll post like how many hours you work, and I'm just like,
This
oh,
this week I had 50, and that was the first full week of school. It was like,
couldn't be me. That your posts like that are stark reminders that I was not cut out to be an educator. I like my higher ed side of things where I can just do my little 9 to 5 and then I can go home. But no, you said a lot there, and so I wanted to also ask you a couple follow up things about the audition stuff before we moved on. And so,
yeah.
first one, how many schools do you think between ones that you just visited versus you actually auditioned? Like, how many total schools do you think you went and saw?
Between 2 years, because the second time around, I forgot to put that point in. When I took that gap year, I was still interested in doing school for performance. So I ended up re-auditioning at some of the same schools, some of the different schools. Some of the schools I just cut. Was like, nope, I'm not gonna try that. It didn't work out the first time. Communication wasn't very well done, so not gonna try that. Probably between 4 to 7, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, 'Cause yeah, I think 7 max was what I did.
Okay, that's not too bad. It sounded for a second like it was more than that, but something else that I wanted to ask, and this might just be like good advice for people who are kind of gone through the same thing. So, disclaimer: Chase is an amazing saxophonist. I keep him humble in a lot of regards, but I've always given him his flowers about being an amazing performer. Since I've known him, just kind of blew everyone out of the water in our little tiny high school, and then was playing with the big dogs in undergrad as well. So we had a really good studio, mind you, but like Chase was from day one. I will say that he was one of the top contenders from day one, and it's gotten was consistent the whole time. So I was frustrated for you when like these schools were kind of playing in your face a little bit about not finding somewhere. I knew that grad school was very honestly just political with things about it's and I don't mean like any politics, but just like it's a game that has to be played. And I know and I got advice when I was going through grad school about like don't take stuff personally, um, and stuff like that. So how did you kind of not let that kind of disappointing experience affect you as a performer, or if it did, like how did you kind of bounce back from that?
Say some really good things there. Yeah, it's political, but it's not political. It's about who knows what, the timing of everything. You could do everything right. You can have a stellar audition, be the top candidate, and then still have that sorry you've been denied email. And there's nothing that you can do as a single person to change certain factors. The best thing that you can do is just be the best person that you are because they only see a page out of your life. They see you at that time, and then if you contacted the professors and everybody before, they know very minimal information. They're just going off of basically everything that you presented at that moment. Um, at first, yeah, it was terrible. Very bad, depressive episodes. Like, I'm not braggingly saying this, but I was a very strong musician. Um, and just to get those, you're not accepted into this program this year, please try again. Um, or you're on the wait list, all that. It sucked. But just kept trucking along. And, one of the biggest things I always says is it always works out in the end. And if it doesn't work out, it's not the end.
Yeah.
um, Make people very mad with that statement all the time in college.
Yep. It's like there was no room for positivity. We were not having a good time, and you were just trying to be. It's like, oh, it's okay. And I was like, shut up, Chase.
But eventually just found other things that I enjoyed. I still to this day play. Currently, I am a principal chair in the Coastal Winds Ensemble, which is a community band that a few directors down here started. They're modeling it off of like Terra Winds over in Alabama. Hope I said the right place. But it's a big level band. You got people like Muhammad Shuman conducting it. And then like all the mentors that we went through high school and everything with playing it and get some pretty good music things out there. I think opening concert we played. No, that wasn't the opening one. We've already played like Strange Humors.
Mm.
There, I can go on and on about that piece. Lots of good repertoire happens in that ensemble, and it's great. We just got invited to play at the Natchez convention in December, so we got a killer program there. One of the pieces, and just because I love it, of Our New Day Begun by Omar Thomas.
Mm.
Gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing.
Yes, we just did that. I joined a community band last year. I'm going to do it again. It's sponsored through the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. So like we rehearse in those spaces, and our concert is in their symphony hall. And it's gotten exploded over the years from what I've been told. And so we just actually played that for our last concert. That was that was hard. That was the first piece in a long time that I was like, oh, I can't sight read this. Or I can't like figure this out in a couple of rehearsals, and just mark a couple reminders. There were some things at the end of the day that I was kind of just like playing down beats. I was like, okay, this was humbling a little bit. I was not expecting us to do this, but it was super fun. So I get that. Is that the ensemble that you're with? Is that the one that Colin and Joseph put together?
That is not the same ensemble. They were successful in getting a orchestra assembled, but this one is
Oh,
like all Muhammad Schumann, Susan Schumann, um, Chris Chandler, who's now director at Gaucher. All of them
okay.
just started this ensemble, and it's a community band mock-up ensemble of like really good people playing really good music. Um, yeah, so back to the original question, is you just got to find ways to like, have that what's the word? I lost my train of thought. You'll find ways to use music in your life, even if it's not the original plan you made. But don't close doors on other plans. Because
Hmm.
I feel like sometimes we just get so, me especially, just so narrow minded. You only see the one light at the end of the tunnel when really there's light in the tunnel. Um,
Yep.
yeah.
I get that a lot. I think we're both similar in the fact that like we both had a plan, and like from even before we went into undergrad from high school, we had a plan. This is gonna go to college, gonna do these things while I'm in college, gonna go to grad school, gonna do this, and it was just kind of linear. And like I did do the whole grad school thing, but even then, like my original plan was to get another master's in education and then be a band director that writes on the side, and then eventually like go for a master or doctorate in one or the other, whatever I'm feeling, and then be like a college professor or something like that. Now the thought of a doctorate makes me sick. I get that. Yeah, even the original plan was not that, or the original plan was that, but now, um, even though I stepped a little bit further away from music than what I originally anticipated from, um, I like what you said about just trying to find ways to put it back. That's why I joined the community band, and that's why I'm doing it again to kind of inch my way back the way that I feel comfortable doing that. And so that's also something I wanted to touch on a little bit is that your relationship with music during this whole process. Did you ever, and then we can switch over to more the education stuff and what you're doing now, but um, how was your relationship with music during this whole process as well as trying to navigate these kind of change plans and then going into um, finding your first teaching job?
My relationship with music is so bizarre because as people who do things with music all the time, I don't listen to music a lot.
Same.
I I get done with work and this is what you hear when I'm driving home.
Thank you, thank you. I explained that to so many people, and they're like, "What? You're not just blasting?" No. And I've met so many people, and I had a conversation with professor, and they were like, "Oh yeah, those first couple of like years, you're just kind of like silence, and then
Mhm.
eventually you'll start folding back that." But no, if it's not like the little pop girlies with the very like repetitive, I don't have to think about this music, or not like kind of nostalgic, and I ride in nothing. I will do a 3 hour car ride and not have a single tune on. Um, so thank you for saying that. I'm not the only one. You're not weird if you do that too. It's just the I need a break.
I need a break. I need a break. Music is one of those things that we constantly do as band directors that the absence of noise is by far one of the best things afterward. And not for reasons of I was just surrounded by noise. It's just I just want to exist where nothing is happening at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay, so glad you said that because I've had this conversation so many times. But okay, so pivoting back into what you're doing now, um, can you remind me what year of teaching this is for you? Is this number two or three?
This is year three, entering year three, plus that gap year. So I'm 4 years out of college,
Okay.
entering year three of education.
Okay, gotcha. So in those first 2 years, again, reflecting on undergraduate experiences, when we were in undergrad and just like slightly removed from it, there's always going to be that period of feeling like, oh, I wish we would have talked about this. I wish I would have learned that. But now that we're a little bit further removed, I was kind of reflecting on my experiences at least. I kind of think that there are certain things that people just can't. prepare
Oh,
us for
that's
and had to go
yeah.
to.
There's
So yeah.
lists. Yeah.
Mm. Is there anything on both sides that you feel that, I wish we would have went into this a little bit more, and then like this is absolutely crazy, nobody could have told me. Like, is there anything on like both sides
Yeah,
that like
on both
stand out?
sides. You remember whenever, like, before we were student teaching, we were just, learning about what we could. And then you'd hear the occasional, oh, yeah, everything I learned in college didn't prepare me for student teaching.
Yeah.
Then you did student teaching, you're like, okay, I see this, I see this. And I feel like that's more of a stuff that I could have learned to apply. Um,
Mhm.
Talking to kids was by far the first thing, the most weirdest thing in my life. Like when I was little, I could talk my everyone's ear off. You remember? You were friends with me.
Yes. Yes, an
Um,
OG ever.
but then
Yes.
getting in front of people that we knew in college was different. Like we can get up in front of lab band, start talking, and everything's good. We get our stuff done that never really pertained to student teaching, and we'd be fine. And then we get thrown into the actual classroom. And we're like,
Yes. Yes. Um, I love Miss Miles, Stacy Miles. Shout out to her. But I think it was her professional development or something like that, or maybe it was just the professional development that you get like right before you go into student teaching. There was a story someone had told. I don't remember if it was her, if I was remember someone else, but it was like basically how this band director lost their job because like they ended up taking a student home because they had waited like 2 hours after, and the student kind of like made a move on them, and so they just quit before they even. I don't know if she told you about this, but yeah, the band director, like the student did something inappropriate, and then the band director dropped them off at home. The next day they resigned. And I know that that was supposed to be like a, don't stay, like, don't take students home, even if, um, uh, their parents haven't shown up and stuff like that. And you've gotten like, verbal or written agreements, but that terrified the hell out of me to the point like where I, I like put up a wall immediately, and it was so hard to connect with the students the first couple of weeks. And they even said that at the end of my student teaching. They're like, "You're so cool. We weren't sure how to feel about you because you didn't like do anything." Like, well, not I did not do anything. It's just like I would go on the podium, I would do my thing, and then like the wall would be right back up. Because I'm like, you're not going to get me in trouble. I'm too close to finishing this degree. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have you misinterpret something or say something crazy to me and then I get in trouble. And it took me a while to tear that down. Anyway, huge tangent. I've turned into a yapper nowadays. I don't know if you've noticed, but um, um, okay, cool. So, what were we talking about? I
uh,
also,
expected things that we wish that school and whatever could have been
yeah.
prepared us for.
Hmm.
And back to it, like there's some things that, college curriculums, no matter how detailed and everything they get, they're going to leave out because, again, we're music and that's easily going to be a 5, 6 year degree if we get everything that we need.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's just how it is. Getting into student teaching, you learn a little bit more and you're like, okay, cool. But there's still things that you just can't be prepared for. I'm finding that out. These past 3 years have just been like you can't learn anything money wise in student teaching because you can't touch money.
Hmm.
You can't learn anything about talking to parents and all that because you can't talk to parents.
Fair.
You can't. There's just a whole list of things. Like there was one the first year we got here, we started, you know, having good relations with the staff, with our boosters, everything like that. And just these things would never have been taught because you don't know how to have that communication. You don't know how to talk about that communication. Um, the amount of non-music things that I wish that I knew going into my first year of teaching just just is lists upon lists of things. Like I never knew how to drive pull a trailer. And you know what I had to do the first? So it was really our second year because the first year we didn't march a front ensemble, but the second year I had to learn how to pull a trailer. And it was all fine and dandy until I had to back the trailer in.
Yikes! I can't even make fun of you for that because I drove a U-Haul once and it terrified the hell out of me. Like one of the really big ones when I was moving, and so backing up a trailer, woo, you're brave.
And now I'm teaching our new guy how to drive a trailer.
Period. Wow. Okay. Okay, so that's some good points. Yeah, all of the little like behind the scenes and I guess managerial type of stuff. I can't find a different word for it, but like less of the like front facing stuff. I'll say I guess that is a good point. And so I get that a lot. I hadn't really thought about that before about the little day to day things. As you know, I went a separate route. I'm on the higher ed side, but I'm in like the staff side, not really teaching or anything like that. And so I think across the board, the behind the scenes stuff is just kind of scary. But then once you get it, it's so easy. And you kind of get a little bit more of a routine rather than the front facing stuff because you know your kids are different, especially teenagers. If you're working with high schoolers, they're different every day and then different moods and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's a good point. What else? What else would I want to ask you? Um, how has your sense of not doing enough kind of been? I know that for first couple of years, I mentioned a little bit earlier about like the need to stay over and things like that. Of course, right now you're in band mode in the fall, so like you know you after school rehearsals you have to stay over because you have to
Yeah.
post. But like, how has that been kind of navigating?
Um, the first few years when we both first got here, background information, me and Zach both got here at the same time. So we took over the whole program. And we're both very lofty gold people, both very lofty gold people in our things. And those first 2 years were very patient, had to be brutally patient with each other with, we plan on doing this, we plan on doing that. Um, of course, we have to stay here. Just this week, we had to go uh, take a U-Haul to go pick up props at a down in Gulfport.
Hmm.
Um, so that was just more time on the after school and everything. I keep making the joke if I got paid overtime, I'd be amazing right now. But that's not how teaching works, and that's totally fine because it's just the way it is. Um, but balancing out, I need to stay, I need to stay, I don't need to stay is very hard sometimes. I think this year, looking at it, we stay Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Eventually, that'll be Fridays. We don't touch Wednesdays because that's the Lord's Day down here in Carrier. I'm not complaining because I love coming home on Wednesday night.
That is fair. With Bible school, right? Or Bible study,
Well,
something like that.
it's
Okay.
a public school, but um, it's in a very Baptist town, which is totally fine. I
Hmm.
think no matter where you go, you'll have a predominantly this member of Christianity in the area. The coast was
Hmm.
Catholic, um,
Yeah.
so just learning how to set yourself on a schedule. My biggest thing this year was my schedule got flipped around a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, I still taught first thing in the morning, next block, and then the past 2 years, I'd have my third block off, and then I teach fourth block. This year, it got switched around to where I'm teaching my three blocks first, and then I have my fourth block off, and that was like my body was like, Chase, what is wrong with you? Like I'm going to bed.
But okay, so just pretty much that sounds pretty standard from how people kind of navigate with the first couple of years. And yeah, I had forgotten that you and your co-director started around the same time, so managing those personalities too is probably a learning curve. I think. So you kind of getting out of the school setting and more of just like kind of adulting and things like that. Um, you're in now a new area, but it's not too far from home. But a conversation that I often have with people who are kind of outside of the school setting is when you're in that kind of newish area and you don't have the same friend group and things like that, and you have to find community in a different way. How has that been for you? So as context, like I moved 14 hours away from pretty much everybody, and so the last 2 years that I've been in Michigan, I've been trying to find people, and this has been a big topic between me and my best friend and a couple other people that I've also met. Just trying to find people and trying to like not be work home, work home.
Yeah, that is still a struggle with me to this day. Like, I don't have a very like strong community that I go to all the time here. It's mainly I go to work, I come home. Family is an hour away, so I'm always there if I want to go down and see them. A lot of my friends from college are still like in Hattiesburg area on the
That
coast,
is
so I
good.
still have that friend communication. Logan and I game almost every single week just because, that's been a thing we've done for the past 11 years of knowing each
Mhm.
other. Um, let's see. Um, I've met a few new friends, a few directors from William Carey have joined that gaming group where we just hang
Oh,
out,
that's so fun.
get all
Nice.
the band director gossip.
Hmm.
And then I was lucky enough to find myself an amazing relationship. So that's another part of that. Um, Met each other through TikTok.
Okay, period. A nice little Gen Z relationship. That sounds about right, honestly.
And she lives in North Carolina, so there's that long distance navigation for sure. But we've been
Hmm.
managing it well, almost 4 months at the end of this month. So
Okay. Yay! I'm so happy for you. I've seen like little tidbits and stuff like that on social media and stuff. But I didn't know it was 4 months. That's awesome. Okay, congratulations on that. But okay, good. That's good to hear. I think all of us in our mid 20s trying to navigate stuff is trying to find people. But it sounds like you've got your groups. They're just like not necessarily physically near you, but you're
yeah,
able to maintain ties. And yeah, it's not too far. And I'll actually be in Hattiesburg next month for a wedding, and so I will let you know, and maybe we can get lunch there. But okay, that's really good to hear, and I'm glad you're doing so well on all of those fronts. Um, so I think that's pretty much it for all the topics that I kind of wanted to go through. So at the end of these, I like to kind of wrap up on a more positive note, because depending on the conversations, I don't want to have someone feeling very drained, especially since we record these on Sundays and we're about to go into the week. So I don't want to have anyone feeling bad right before their week starts. And they have to be in front of a bunch of kids. And so I just have a couple of questions for you, kind of more of the reflective side. But what are like three things that that you're proud that you've accomplished within the last couple of years?
we it feels like the community and the kids here have fully adopted into Zach and I's crazy, chaotic minds of things. I mean, we're doing a marching band show called Cowboys versus Aliens.
That's
Um,
right. That's right.
and it is the most out of pocket thing because I keep telling all the kids, no one's gonna like expect this out of a marching band show. It's not a serious marching show. We are literally making a cheesy B movie knockoff of Cowboys versus Aliens. So we got kids literally sitting there going like, "There's aliens," while playing great music like X Files, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, we actually just finished setting the first movement of drill this past week, so it's going. That's one thing for sure is just the amount of bought in and support that we have in this community. Um, I have to name three of them.
Yes. Yes, Chase. It's supposed to be reflective. It's supposed to be uplifting. Don't be
um,
negative. Come on.
middle school band. When I first got here, I had 80 kids stretched out from sixth grade to eighth grade. Now we are
Okay.
sitting at 130, I believe. So
Okay.
we're big enough to this year, middle school has split up to a beginner band, an intermediate band, and an advanced band. And the kids just keep surprising me. I'm not throwing things at them that I'm like, oh, they're not going to be able to get this, but there are other things that I throw at them. I'm like, oh, let's just see if they understand this. And then they just constantly blow my mind. It's awesome to watch the amount of absorption happening in their system. And then I'm also just excited to get back into football season. I'm not a football fan at all, but I love sitting there running the band through all the stand tunes and all that stuff when the things happen. So,
Okay. Nice. All right. So one more.
okay.
Not work related. Oh no, no. I'm saying one more thing that you're proud of.
Oh, that's not work. Oh, I was
Not
waiting
work
for the
related.
question.
Okay.
One,
I was like, this man is thinking.
traveling. I'm finally at a place where I can start traveling some. I go fly out to see my girlfriend in at the end of the month, and then October we're going to Atlanta. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, and then December, well, November she's gonna come down here, and then December we're going to Midwest. So
Okay. She's a music person too.
yeah, she's a middle school band director.
Oh, fun. Okay. Yay. All right. See, that wasn't that hard. Just made it hard for no reason. But because you were such a good trooper, I'll skip the next one, which is what's something that in the near future that you were looking forward to? Because you just said it, football season.
Hmm.
Um, okay. So you've given a lot of great little tidbits so far, but like, what's one more like piece of advice for those who are recently graduated or about to leave, or very similar story to yours?
It's just band.
Just man.
And a
And,
lot of people will say that in this field, it's just band, it's just band. But at the end of the day, you'll find your passion for it and you'll find where like your limits are for everything. Just remember the reason why you got into this career and focus on those things. It's not about being the best. It's not like we can take over the world, even though we tell the kids all the time we're going to take over the world with our music. Um, it's just band.
it's just band. Okay. Period. Um, all right, and then the last one, are there any plugs, like, ensembles, like if you have an ensemble page, or website, or any personal things that you're doing? Like, I don't remember if you have a website or if you have a personal, yeah, I know you have a music Instagram, but I'm not sure if you're still using that actively,
Yeah.
but you want to
I
plug anything?
I use that frequently sometimes. Biggest thing I want to plug is my TikTok. It's Mr. Band Guy. Hopefully coming
Okay.
soon. Yeah,
Okay.
it works. The kids are the kids that see my TikToks at school, they're like, "That's Mr. Band Guy." I'm like,
Mr. Van
"Yes."
Guy.
And I have worked
Okay.
at some other schools where like, "Wait a second, are you Mr. Band Guy?" Like,
Okay. A little hometown hero type of thing. Okay. Mr. Van Guy on TikTok. I will make sure to put that in the
guys on
description.
TikTok.
Okay. Bad. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chase. This was great to kind of catch up a little bit. Like I said, I know we both kind of see what we're doing on social media, but having to constantly check in is a lot. So I understand that. I've tried to get better about it myself. But it's so wonderful to hear how great you're doing, both with the career, but also outside of the career. You just generally seem a lot more happy and things like that. So it was great catching up with you. And for those 8 people that are probably hopefully still listening at this point, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Let's Talk About It. Next installment should be with another mutual friend of ours, John Hopkins. And so we're going to be recording his in about 2 weeks. I don't know when these are going to get released, I'm going to be honest, because I'm trying to put them in tandem with the website. And I said that the last episode, so now it really sounds bad. But we're working on it. Oh, a website is a lot, but I'm almost done. I might be saying that the next time. But thank you so much, and hope you'll continue to listen.
Yeah. Have a good one, Aaron.